All right, diving in today. We're looking at Finnish conscript training.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, or, maybe someone listening is getting ready for a briefing or just curious about, like, how Finland prepares its people.
Hmm.
But we're going beyond the basic boot camp stuff here. Promise it'll be interesting.
Looking forward to it. You know, when I first saw their training manual, The Soldier's Guide,
Yeah,
I was surprised. It's well written, almost like a textbook. Not what you'd expect from, military stuff.
right. I thought it'd be all technical jargon, but it's actually readable. And get this, it's the same manual for every conscript.
Ah, that's fascinating.
No matter what branch they end up in, they all start with this. What's the reasoning there?
It really shows their total defense idea. Every
Right.
citizen, potentially a soldier. So this shared knowledge, this base level, it's across their entire defense force.
Makes sense. So unlike, say, the US, where it's very specialized from the get-go.
Exactly, different approach.
So picture this. I'm a young Finn, just finished high school, day one of training. What happens? Straight to the obstacle course.
Well, there is the physical stuff, but they don't just throw you in. You
Okay.
start with weapons handling, safety, the basics of combat, but there's a twist. The basic military exam.
Wait, so it's not just showing up. You have to prove you know stuff.
You got it. Firing tests, exercises, marches, even a written exam on the manual itself.
Oh, serious business.
And here's the kicker. If you do well, you can get extra leave.
So they actually reward you for studying. Smart. Okay, so basic training's done. What's next?
Then it depends on how long your service is, 165, 255, or 347 days, that sort of thing.
Right.
That's when you start getting more specific, like artillery, infantry, specializing.
But even as they specialize, the manual still emphasizes those basic combat skills, right?
Absolutely. No matter what your specialty, you're a soldier, first and foremost.
It's like, if needed, everyone has that baseline to contribute.
Exactly. Part of that layered defense idea.
Reading through it, though, what surprised me was all the stuff beyond just the physical. Sections on psychology, social issues, ethics, even military chaplains.
Yeah, it's more than just fighting. It's about handling the mental and emotional side of things, too.
This one quote really got me. Leave no one behind. Talking about supporting your fellow soldiers, but it felt bigger,
I agree. It's that camaraderie, but also this broader sense of responsibility. They're prepping these young people not just for war, but for life's challenges, period.
Like weaving responsible citizenship into the whole military thing. And they even have sections on traffic safety, preventing harassment, basic etiquette, things that are useful anywhere, not just in the Army.
You make a good point. It almost feels like they see conscription as like making well-rounded citizens, not just soldiers.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got physical training, specialized skills.
Hmm.
But what about today's threats? Cybersecurity, info wars, that sort of thing.
They've got you covered there, too. The Soldier's Guide, it actually has in-depth sections on operational security and cybersecurity.
Seriously, teaching basic conscripts about disinformation and electronic surveillance.
It's all in there, making sure they're aware of what's online, how to think critically, and how to protect themselves, their unit, from manipulation.
Wow. I guess it makes sense the lines between traditional war and this new stuff are blurring, especially given where Finland is,
Yeah.
right on the edge of, well, lots of current events.
It's like they're preparing for a future where the fight might not just be on land, but online as well.
Okay, let's talk leadership. The manual spends a lot of time on it. Even how they choose leaders is interesting.
It's not just about being the loudest or toughest, it's about embodying their deep leadership idea.
Deep leadership. Remind me what that means practically.
It boils down to trust, motivation, and respect for the individual, leading by example, empowering others, creating a shared purpose.
And they track this in a leadership file that follows the conscript. What I found cool is this file can actually help them even after they leave the military.
Right, almost like a civilian resume for leadership. Employers see what they did, the skills they got, showing that Finland views this as an investment beyond just the military.
So training doesn't stop after conscription either, right? There's a whole section about reservists.
Of course, a strong reserve is vital for their defense strategy. Reservist training ensures that, if needed, they have a lot of experienced people ready to go.
And for those who really love it, there are even sections on becoming an officer, or NCO.
What's interesting is how they highlight both military and civilian education as paths to those roles. There's even a quote, "The Defense Forces offer challenging and interesting work that is meaningful."
It's not just a job then, it's contributing to something bigger, which actually has been a recurring theme throughout this whole thing.
You're right. It's not just about making soldiers, it's about developing people who can contribute to society in meaningful ways.
We've covered a ton in this first part, starting to see why Finnish conscription is so different.
Oh, we've barely scratched the surface. There's so much more to the system.
Well, good thing for our listeners, we have 2 more parts to this deep dive. We'll be back soon to uncover even more.
Back again for more on Finnish conscript training.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about everything from part 1.
It is a lot, isn't it? The way they approach it is different.
Totally. Who knew a military manual could be so thought-provoking?
Hmm.
But the thing that keeps sticking with me is the ethics part. Like, it's everywhere.
You're right. It's not just some quick lesson on rules. It's built into the whole experience. Values, reasoning, even the philosophy behind service.
It's like they're saying, we'll teach you to fight, but also make sure you understand WHY and what it all means.
Yeah, and it's not blind obedience either. They want critical thinking, making good choices, owning your actions.
The section on the chaplain's role really struck me. They're not just there for, like, religious stuff. They're actually involved in the conscript's well-being, the mental and ethical side.
It shows they get it. Being a soldier isn't just about physical strength. You need mental and emotional strength, too.
In lots of countries, the chaplain's kind of on the sidelines, but in Finland, they're central, guiding and supporting the whole way.
It's that holistic approach again. To prepare these young folks, you got to address their whole being, you know?
Not just ethics, though. We talked about sustainability, too, which was surprising.
Right. Another unique thing about their training, whole sections on the environment, saving energy, even minimizing waste during exercises.
It's like they're saying, we may have to fight for our land, but we won't trash it while doing so.
Exactly. They're stewards of the environment, even while training for combat.
I like how they connected that to the idea of being well-rounded, capable.
Yeah, it's not just about soldiers. It's fostering resourcefulness, being adaptable, respecting how everything's connected, seeing the bigger picture.
Makes you wonder, does this approach maybe help create a more peaceful society overall?
Interesting thought. If you teach people to be ethical, responsible, to think critically, wouldn't that naturally lead to better ways of handling conflict?
It's a totally different way of looking at military training.
Challenges that traditional idea of soldiers just focused on aggression and fighting.
They're getting a wider skill set, values that apply to any part of life, not just war.
It's fascinating. I think there's a lot we can learn from it, not just other countries, but individuals too.
Agreed. Reminds us that strength isn't just military power, but how you approach being a citizen, a person.
And that those values, responsibility, compassion, even caring for the environment, that's how we build a better world for everyone.
Okay, we've looked at ethics, sustainability,
Yep.
but let's not forget the core, the actual combat skills. Part 3, we'll get into the specifics of their training, weapons, tactics, the whole shebang. All right, back for the final part. We've talked ethics, sustainability, leadership, all these surprising sides of Finnish conscript training, but gotta be honest, it's still military training at its core.
Exactly. Can't forget about that. We need to talk combat skills, the actual weapons, the tactics.
For sure. So what are they actually teaching these conscripts to do out there?
Well, the Soldier's Guide covers it all. You've got your basics, marksmanship, movement, all that. Then it goes up to squad tactics, urban warfare, the more complex stuff.
Okay, but this IS Finland, right? Lots of snow and stuff. Does that change the training much?
Oh, definitely. Winter warfare is huge. They learn camouflage in the snow, how to use skis and snowshoes, building shelters, even just like staying warm in freezing temperatures.
Ugh, sounds intense.
Yep.
But it can't be all snow drifts and frozen fingers.
Yeah.
What about the weapons themselves?
Their main rifle is the RK-62, or sometimes the newer RK-95. Both are known for being reliable and good in Finnish terrain.
Okay, solid choice.
But there's more. They get training on machine guns, anti-tank weapons, even grenades.
Sounds like they're ready for just about anything. But I'm guessing it's not just about knowing how to shoot. Got to work as a team too, right?
100%. The training goes from individual skills, then to squads, and all the way up to company-level stuff. And throughout, they hammer home communication, coordination, trust. Basically, what makes the team work.
Reminds me of that deep leadership idea again. How's that play out in these exercises?
It's not just blindly following orders. They encourage taking initiative, thinking for yourself, adapting to the situation. And a leader isn't judged just on rank, but how they motivate their people, inspire them.
And remember, some conscripts actually get those leadership roles while serving, so they're putting it all into practice right away.
Exactly. Great way to build leaders, not just for the military, but for life in general. Cause clear communication, teamwork, being adaptable. That helps no matter what you end up doing.
It's funny, I thought we'd mostly talk tanks and explosions in this deep dive, but what's really stayed with me is this bigger picture. They're not just training soldiers, they're shaping people, citizens.
It is a powerful model, isn't it? Lots to offer, not just to other countries trying to, improve their own defense, but to anyone wanting to grow as a person, become a better leader.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's a great place to wrap up our Finnish conscript training deep dive. Eye-opening is an understatement.
Definitely. And for anyone listening, hope this got you thinking, maybe gave you some new ideas, might even inspire you to check out that soldier's guide yourself. Never know what you'll find.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep those questions coming, and dive deep into whatever interests you.